The room feels heavy. The neon lights struggle to adequately illuminate the area, and the ceiling fans spin lazily as they do little more than push the cigarette smoke, which is hanging like a mist. A fine-dressed man enters. He has a cane, a fedora hat, a waistcoat, and a long overcoat, and he walks up to Peter. He raises his head only slightly. You can just see the gleam of light off his eyes. Koko ni kite, horuden ga anita ni atai to ita imasu. And he nods towards the deputy chief's door, and he turns and walks away from you.
Peter looks up from his desk. He drops his pencil. He looks at Gaff as Gaff's walking away, and he said, I have no idea what you just said to me. He looks over at the door to the deputy chief's office. Huh. Okay. Maybe something to do with Deputy Chief Holden. And he stands up, and he's a young, strapping man who's fit. And he's wearing a black suit and tie. His hair's combed straight back, and he walks confidently over towards the office and lightly taps on the door with his one knuckle.
And the door to the office is old and wooden. A pane of frosted glass is in the top half with the words Deputy Chief printed on it in faded yellow writing.
Come in.
Peter takes a breath and I think Gaff asked me to see you, sir.
And Deputy Chief Holden is sitting behind a desk, and he is writing a report, and he does not look up as you enter. Yes, I did send Gaff. What was your name again? Peter something?
Gunn, sir. Peter Gunn.
I wanted to talk to you about something. You see, I need you to bring in Philippa LeBlanc. Here's her address. And he flips a card across the desk.
For questioning, sir?
Something like that.
Excuse me, sir, but I'm not a beat cop, sir. I'm a forensic specialist.
And we're short-staffed.
Surely we have a beat cop that could go and retrieve just an ordinary individual.
And that's you. Congratulations.
But I'd like to reiterate, sir, I'm not a beat cop.
I am aware of your past.
Very well, sir. Is that all, sir?
That'll be all.
Looks at the card. So Peter leaves the room and goes to his desk and goes to the bottom drawer and slides it open, and underneath a pile of paper and files and folders, he pulls out his handcuffs and his PK blaster, heads down to go collect his spinner that he's going to use. and try and do a search on Philippa LeBlanc and to see who this person is, this individual. And Peter will tap the screen as he ponders the ramifications of this, and he'll just, I guess he thinks about what. Okay, and there's several thoughts going through Peter's mind, and
There's parking spaces outside. And the building looks like it was built floor by floor without any thought to the preceding one. A collection of matchboxes stacked one upon the other, and 2 large sliding doors lead into the lobby.
and steps outside, closes the door, and looks up at the sky, looks around, looks up at the towers, and walks into the 2 doors.
A stained and uninspired open area of metal and concrete lies beyond. There are concrete seats all ready to be hosed down on the left and right. A single elevator appears to head to the higher floors, while Chopin plays badly through the building speakers.
He tucks the umbrella underneath his left arm and sort of brushes off imaginary dust off his suit jacket, and looks around, and seeing the service elevator, we'll walk over to the service elevator. Peter will use the end of the umbrella to push the button to the elevators. He steps inside and looks at the level 8 and pushes that button with the butt end of the umbrella.
When the doors open, it is on the 8th floor, which is largely metal and looks rather industrial. All the paint is faded.
As the doors open, he steps out into the hallway and looks down either end and looks at the door as the doors to each apartment and which way they're counting.
Nobody answers the door.
After a while, waiting harder this time,
And you can hear from inside, very muffled, yet annoyed sounding, "Go away!"
Well,
You can hear sort of a clattering inside. It sounds like somebody is making a lot more noise, moving around than they have to, perhaps out of annoyance. And eventually,
Miss LeBlanc, I'm here to take you into the station.
and after saying that, the door is suddenly yanked open. The woman standing inside is wearing pajamas.
God.
She's got very messy hair. She looks very annoyed at having been very clearly woken up. You will do what?
And a little bit taken aback. I do apologize for waking you up, Miss LeBlanc, but Deputy Police Chief Holden has asked me to come and collect you. Huh.
I'm not on duty. I don't have to come in.
Miss LeBlanc, Deputy Police Chief Holden has asked specifically that you come in. We have had some developments within the department you may not have been aware of.
I am not aware of anything that's happened in the department. I don't care what's happening in the department. I am on leave. She's shouting through the door.
I'm terribly sorry, Miss LeBlanc. I didn't realize that you were on leave. Unfortunately, the police chief has cancelled your leave and requested you to attend the station as soon as possible.
Then he can come tell me himself. I don't know who you are.
Oh, excuse me. Specialist forensics expert, Peter Gunn.
She's gonna open the door slightly. Really? They sent a forensics recruit?
Well, I've been here for a week, but yes. We're a little short on beat cops at the moment, considering we've had a couple deaths on the force.
What does he want, and how long is it gonna take?
Oh, I'm sure it won't take very long at all. If you just maybe put something more appropriate on, I can take you down to the station and bring you back as soon as humanly possible.
And you can hear sort of more clattering around. And a couple minutes later. And she is dressed, however, she's clearly not made any sort of effort to look particularly presentable. Fine. Let's go.
Yes, Miss LeBlanc.
Inspector, thank you.
I'm sorry. The police chief didn't notify me that I was to pick up an inspector. I do apologize. I was...
Thought the apartment might have tipped you off.
Well, and he looks past you into the apartment.
No, not... My goodness, it's an LAPD building.
Well,
Let's go if we must.
starts walking down the hallway.
Yes. Who's dead?
And he pushes the button of the elevator with the end of the umbrella. Do believe it was an officer by the name of Sandor.
And she frowns slightly. Working what case?
Not entirely sure of the case, Inspector.
Of course not.
I do apologize. I'm usually at the desk or in the forensics lab. As the spinner takes off and flies, returns back to Police Central.
As the spinner lands, there's a big cloud of steam, which they seem to all do. And you come to settle in the motor pool area of the LAPD headquarters. And there's a few other spinners that are here. Some are leaving, some are arriving. Over on the far side, they're taking a couple of people in handcuffs.
And right after he has knocked on the door, Philippa will reach past him and open it without waiting for an answer and walk in.
I see you have found her.
You better have a damn good reason for this, sir.
You wouldn't have come if I asked.
So you sent a trainee forensics officer to arrest me?
I never said that.
Oh, really?
If he tried to arrest you, that was of his own volition.
I am here, and he's still standing at the door.
Now, Philippa, I called you in because we have a case.
Do you need me any longer, sir? Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, you should stick around, Mr. He looks down at a piece of paper in front of him. Mr. Gunn.
And it's so great that you've got a case. However, I am on approved leave for about another 2 weeks.
I get that, but your leave has been canceled. We need you here. Things have changed while you were gone,
Sandor's dead, I hear.
and Lee is missing.
Missing how?
We sent the two of them together. We received a tip that a nexus was seen at the snake pit. A 6. And Sandor and Leia, they had gone to investigate. Sandor was killed in the club. He's downstairs in the police morgue at the moment.
What happened?
That's why you're here. To find out what happened.
Look, I'm not the only person who works here, you know.
You're the only one that isn't already assigned.
If it's that important, unassign someone from something that isn't.
We have been seeing more and more reports of, Nexus. I didn't call you here lightly, but we need you. And you've got a new recruit with you who can serve as your partner on this.
Wait, what, sir?
What am I going to do with a forensics analyst?
I'm sorry, sir. You want me to serve with a beat cop?
Inspector.
Oh, I do apologize, Inspector. I'm sorry, sir. You want me to serve with an inspector?
Congratulations.
I'm not overly sure I'm ready for fieldwork, sir.
Well, get ready, rookie.
And Peter turns to LeBlanc.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it looks like we'll be working together?
Wonderful. What do you know already?
I suggest you head down to the snake pit and see for yourself, see what information you can gather. I know that Leia had been struggling lately. I was going to schedule her to meet with the department counselor. I don't know if it's relevant or not, but it seems with her missing, everything at this point is relevant.
Sandor thought it was home life.
It's possible.
That's all you know. No one saw anything in the snake pit. That is a busy place.
I haven't had the time to actually assign anyone to this yet. Your investigation, all of the information you'll be gathering, you're the first one to gather it.
Question, sir. What is this snake pit?
Yeah, it doesn't exactly seem like your kind of place. It's a club.
A club?
It's in Sector 1.
Sector 1?
Well, like I said, we'll check the morgue first. Anything else, sir?
Just that Sander was a decent detective, if a bit arrogant.
A bit.
Well, and it is a shame to see him go like this. Whatever took him out is dangerous. Be on your guard.
Thank goodness I wasn't assigned to work with Sandor. Not to speak ill of the dead, but that would have been...
Alright, now get out.
And she walks out the door.
Um,
And Philippa is walking towards the morgue.
Peter is hurriedly trying to catch up to Philippa. Inspector, excuse me, Inspector.
Yes?
What exactly is The snake pit.
Yeah. I didn't think you'd have been there. It's a bar. Yeah, it's a bar. It has, let's say, acts. Performed by replicants. I've only been to break up protests. Both pro and anti-replicant groups protest there pretty regularly.
So it's just a bar then?
It's like a strip club. How's that?
Oh, okay. Sorry for asking. Was there any particular reason why Officer Sandor and Leia were at a strip club?
Well, Holden said there were reports of a Nexus 6 there. Now, obviously, they're not supposed to have any 6s. It's mostly earlier models. Some very early models. Kind of why they have a reputation for some weird stuff. Look, I'm trying to be pretty delicate. Ask someone else if you want. Anyway, they were checking out the reports of a Nexus 6.
But I thought the Nexus 6s were supposed to be off-world.
That's why they were checking out reports of one. They're not supposed to be at the snake pit.
That would be cause for concern, especially if there was one on Earth here.
It's not uncommon for officers to be sent to the snake pit. It's... Well, we've never been able to pin anything on the owner, much more than issues with his liquor licensing, but it's a place where deals go down. It's not above board, shall we say. But an Nexus 6, that would be unusual.
So I am curious, Inspector. Does the police chief normally send officers in pursuit of Nexus 6s? I thought that was the responsibility of a Blade Runner.
It is.
I'm certainly not a Blade Runner. I'm just a forensics expert. And you're just an inspector?
No, you're not a Blade Runner, so I guess it's lucky that one of us is.
You've had experience with Nexus 6s then before?
Yeah, a couple times.
So it's my understanding that they have superior strength and agility.
You understand correctly.
So, and forgive me if, this seems like a stupid question. We're going after something that has the potentially to be far superior in strength and agility, and in some cases was bred for combat.
Potentially. I have no idea. We're assigned to find out what happened to Inspector Sandor and Leia.
I guess we haven't confirmed that it is an Nexus 6, so until that time, I don't think I should perhaps worry about it. Maybe, although it's going to be in the back of my mind.
Look, we don't know what it is. That's what we're supposed to find out. And I'm hoping, since you're an analyst or something, that you'll be helpful in the morgue. You're not squeamish, are you?
Inspector, no.
Sometimes the new recruits are, shall we say, of a delicate disposition.
Well, I don't believe I have a delicate disposition, Inspector, but Yes, and he's waiting outside the morgue door.
Which she
shall
will
we-
open.
Mhm.
All right, Philippa will open the door to the morgue and step inside.
You can see the back wall has 20 metal cubicles. The main floor is tile and has 2 drainage points. There are 4 metal tables with naked bodies on them. Sandor is lying on the first table. A faded number 1 is on the front of the table. To the far right of the room is a small office. A neon light and ceiling fan makes up the most notable features. There is a computer sitting on a wooden desk, and 2 old and chipped filing cabinets are against the wall. The coroner, who is looking through a folder, looks up, glances over to a paper calendar which is up on the wall. A sly grin sort of appears at the edge of his mouth, and he looks back at you. I was wondering who they were going to get to handle this.
And are you surprised?
Not particularly.
If I'm honest, I'm not all that surprised either. What have you got?
He walks over and he holds Sandor by the shoulder and the wrist and pulls him up. 2 bullet wounds, chest area. Entry and exit wounds, no bullets have been recovered. But my guess is they were 45s. 1 through the lung, 1 in the heart. Range couldn't have been any more than 30 feet, probably closer. No powder burns.
All right.
A 45, you say?
Also, he points to a body next to him. We don't know who this individual is. I have asked him, but he's decided to remain stumm. He was shot at the club as well. He was shot in the front, however, and it's quite possible from the same weapon.
Harris, this is Peter Gunn. He's working with me, I'm told.
So, one would assume if he was shot through the back and he was wearing armor at the time, 45 caliber, especially if they were using hollow points, would probably do more damage than this, especially given that it would have to go through the ballistics of the police vest before entering the body. The bullet would be starting to roll and certainly would have expanded somewhat. You say the bullets passed right through?
There is an entry and exit route. New guy?
Yeah, it's what, your second week?
Something like that. But the wounds, these look like they've possibly maybe used solid rounds rather than hollow points.
That is my feeling, yes.
Forensics. Why he's working with me? Ask Holden. I don't know.
I seem to be the best candidate to work with you, I guess.
He sent him to arrest me.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Did he?
No.
And he hurries over to the second one. And you say this fellow was shot as well?
At best guess, they were more or less facing each other.
I was just about to say they were probably facing each other in conversation. One bullet has gone through our departed friend Sandor here into this poor fellow. I'm just curious as to where the other bullet might have ended up.
No ID if you don't know who he is. Fingerprints not in the system?
No. It's not unusual for some of the troublemakers there not to carry their ID.
True.
His tattoos do give me the feeling that he might be one of those human rights members.
Oh. Great. They're a fun bunch. Wonder why Sandor would have been talking to one of them. The anonymous tipster, maybe?
I mean, I really don't have much of that side of the case.
Well, we're gonna head down there and take a look around, although I suspect everyone will be their typical silent selves when asked what they saw.
I would say Sandor was standing at the time that he was shot. I do not believe he was in motion.
Not expecting it.
So I think that this was quite possibly an ambush, or at this point, and he points to the other corpse, it's possible he was the intended target and Sandor was in line of the fire. We don't have enough information to draw full conclusions. Leia is missing.
So I hear.
Picks up a folder. Her last performance report was that she was a model officer. Very well liked in her department. Was very thorough in her investigations and excelled in all that she was doing. She was favoured for promotion. 6 months ago, there is a note that she started to become more sullen and withdrawn. Not aggressive, but appeared frustrated, and had started to keep to herself. There is a note from Holden saying that he was going to recommend her to the department's counsellor to see what was going on.
Sandor did mention something about her having a rough time,
I remember.
but he didn't think it was job-related.
No, he certainly intimated it was stuff outside of work. I didn't know her that well, only when she came down here, so my dealings with her was very sparse.
I didn't talk to her much, but I never met anyone that had a problem with her, which was a refreshing change from her partner. Sorry, Sandor.
A shot from a 45 at 30 feet in a busy nightclub, that is certainly impressive. In a nightclub with people moving around, you would have to wait for the right time and opportunity for such a thing, and to get such a clean shot. The marksmanship and patience required to do this.
We don't know much yet. He could have been outside of the club, for all we know.
Where was the body found?
He goes and he flicks open a folder and looks. In the main auditorium area.
Might have been watching a show then. Everyone would be standing fairly still.
Yes, but the angle of entry and exits suggest otherwise.
Just they weren't standing still?
No.
If there was a show, which we assume there was, this individual was facing him.
Well, I hardly imagine he would have wanted to watch.
No. But was he talking to Sandor?
So was he facing away from the stage, or was he facing the stage?
And when was it called in?
Around midnight?
And no reports of our wayward officer?
None.
Well, let's go ask a few questions. Well, anything else you want to look at here, Gunn?
Head our way over to the snake pit.
See if you can access any information about this. Not that I imagine there will be much. Well, we might be back, Harris.
I hope not on one of my slabs.
Yeah, it was maybe funny the first time.
Well, it's important in my job to be reliable.
You are that. All right, off to your desk then.
Okay, so no name or no identification for the caller. Tip was about an Nexus 6 that was seen at the club. Officer Sandor, and Leia were sent, and that's when the shooting occurred, after they had arrived.
Yeah, it's Not particularly unusual to get tips about a rogue Nexus 6. It's hardly ever anything worth writing home about. I doubt they were expecting any actual trouble.
Well, the tip about Nexus 6, surely we don't get too many of those.
You'd be surprised. Somebody acting strange in public, we get a tip. Somebody's neighbor annoying them, we get a tip. If everyone who called us telling us they'd seen a Nexus 6 was right, we'd have more replicants than humans in this city.
I don't see the logic behind that. But curious.
A lot of people call, and usually it's nothing. And the Snake Pit's not an unusual location to hear about
Doesn't
something
make sense
strange.
to make a false claim, though, about...
Oh, well, they don't usually think it's a false claim. Either they're sure, or they've convinced themselves there's a possibility.
Well, how would they be sure if they don't have the evidence that one would be, in fact, a Nexus 6?
A lot of people are sure about a lot of things without having any evidence.
But you could never be too sure without the research and the evidence.
Maybe you can't. But not everybody's you.
Well, I can never be sure that what we're following now is, in fact, a Nexus 6. We're only going on the... I either fail to see the point, or I have missed the point completely. Anyway, I shall grab my forensics kit, and I guess we can make our way to the crime scene.
Great, let's go. You're driving. And she's probably just gonna close her eyes on the trip and see if she can... Well, she probably wouldn't actually sleep. Just sit in silence.
So as you're flying there, you're passing billboards that are several stories tall on the side of skyscrapers for different jobs. One of them is a large geisha for a Japanese electronics company who watches your spinner as you fly by. As you approach the Snake Pit, you can see that part of the street has been still blocked off. It's not completely interrupting traffic flow, but some of it is blocked off. You can see neon signs flashing on the club that looks like it's a bit of a holdback to an earlier time. And the sign that is lit up says the Snake Pit, and below it in different letters says Variety Club. Replicant and human performers live band. You can see 2 police spinners are parked on the street, and you can see 3 regular beat officers are standing outside where there is the police tape.
Well, we better go see what they got. She's gonna get out of the spinner. Who's walking over to the officers?
As you get out of the spinner and you're starting to walk over to the cops, you are a police spinner. The cops do not, there's no like, who are you? They're assuming you're police by the whole setup, the detectives. But you both sort of feel something's not right. And you notice for Philippa,
Okay.
you sort of turn and you can see a figure is standing on the other side of the street and is definitely watching
Okay.
and paying attention to you. You think it's a he, and it's more shadowy though, and a truck drives down the street, and when it passes, he's gone.
Okay.
For Peter, he turns and feels the same sort of thing and notices the figure as well at pretty much the same time. But whether it's by luck or skill, he gets a better look at the individual as the truck lights illuminate him very, very briefly. But then once the truck passes, he's gone.
We're already being spied upon?
I saw him too, but he's gone. That was quick. Couldn't see much of him, though. Didn't get a great look.
Male, 6'2", balding head, narrowed eyes, separated, broad nose, possibly broken at some stage with a nub around the middle, flat, bland lips, broad chin.
Sound like you're describing him for a sketch artist. Not bad. Remember that. You might have to.
I wasn't aware there was any other way to describe a person, but yes. I could definitely describe him to a sketch artist.
That's a great physical description. But did you get a sense of what he was doing?
Aside from looking at us, and he'll walk across the street to where the man was and turn around and look at where we were.
And a couple of cars slow as you run across the street. And looking back, it's a reasonably decent view of the front of the club. Not directly straight on, but like sort of, 45-degree angle. But you can see the entrance, you can see the other police officers, you can see your spinner, you can see Philippa.
Get back here!
Oh, okay. Well, I couldn't find anything other than the fact that it's a good observation point for the club. No cigarette butts or any other key pieces of evidence that I could find over there. I'm not entirely sure how he disappeared unless, and he looks down the road, he jumped on that truck and left with it.
Possibility.
One would hardly be able to scale up those walls, and there's possibly, and he's looking down, nowhere to run behind.
The fact that he disappeared right as we saw him certainly makes it less likely that he's a rubbernecker. Whether it's
Yep.
curiosity or horrified fascination, people like to look when horrifying stuff's happening to other people. You have a crime scene, you always get onlookers.
Yes, there's a lot of people that have more of a fascination with shocking situations.
So, could have just been that, except he's gone. Wouldn't have just vanished. And she'll continue walking over.
And one of them walks forward. Detectives?
Hello. What are we looking at?
The club has been shut down for the time being until the officer in charge gives the all clear to open it again. That would be you, I assume.
Sure, the owner's thrilled.
The owner is in his office, and one of the workers is in the changing room at the back. They've been not detained, but it was requested that they remain on premises.
One worker in particular?
Yes. She was performing at the time of the incident.
And anything you can tell us that we should know?
Everything has been, as far as we can tell, untouched once the area was secured.
Good job. That's good to know. I'm sure our forensic specialist here will appreciate that.
It was a busy night on the night that it happened, though. There was several groups.
Usually are. Any protests going on that you know of?
Yes, there was.
For, against, or both?
Both.
Hmm.
But there's usually more of the against than the for.
That is true.
I believe one of the groups was from. I'm trying to remember the name. They have a magazine that they release. Kill Weekly.
Kill Weekly?
That is correct.
What kind of magazine would be called Kill Weekly?
They're one of the pro-human groups. They part of the Rifle Association. He turns to Arthur. Do you remember what their catchphrase is? And he's like, who? Kill Weeklies. Oh, fit news to kill, or all the news that's fit to kill. Something like that it is. Don't like replicants.
No, they do not. Well, we might want to check in with them, see if they're missing anyone. Coroner thought the unidentified body might be from one of the anti-replicant groups.
So right through the main doors is a small lobby, and then the main dance floor, dining hall, depending what they're doing on the night, is beyond, which is where the incident took place.
Thank you. You ready, Gun, or still pondering the meaning of the magazine name?
No, I'm just curious as to why they're not an inclusive bunch of folk. But anyway.
You haven't come into contact with any of the anti-replicant groups, then?
I've definitely seen some things on the news, but...
I mean, there's a lot, and they vary in how fanatical they are. You have your standard, they shouldn't be taking people's jobs groups. They're usually pretty tame. Then you move into the, they shouldn't look like us when we're superior, and then we're getting a little...
Well, that would be an argument that's not on their side. We're not exactly superior in a lot of ways.
You wouldn't want to say that to any of the human superiority groups, let me tell you. And then you got your religious nuts. They go against this god or the other one. But there's a full spectrum of anti-replicants. The pro-replicant groups, we don't get as many here. They can be a little... Well, two main sort of types there. You got your, shall we say, replicant welfare groups advocating they be treated better. And then you've got the kind of weird... How to describe... The other type almost worship them. They'd be in direct opposition to the human superiority. Replicants are superior, they're godlike, they're the... I don't know. Our new overlords, something like that.
And then I guess you have the people like me who have an opinion neither way.
Generally where I fall. If there's no trouble, it doesn't bother me.
Okay, so after you, Inspector.
And she will walk inside.
The Blade Runner RPG is released by Free League Publishing. Starring Shadow as Holden, Emily as Philippa, Raven Insane as Peter, and Ghost as the storyteller. Music and sounds provided by Sirenscape and Epidemic Sound. You can find us at Kritfayle.com.
Can you prompt me? What's his name?
Holden
know it's
or
not-
Gaff?
Gaff. It's not Cag.
Did you say Cag again?
I did.
Baka.
Peter.
This is going to be fun to edit.